All right, I wanted to do number 17 using synthetic division because we're going to use it in the next section, and I guess they think you know how to do it. They don't teach it, and I added it into the section, and I'm glad I did. 17 is x to the fourth plus 7x cubed plus 5x squared minus 8x minus 14, and it's divided by x plus 6. All right, in order to do synthetic division, we're going to, instead of dividing, we're going to basically take coefficients off things, numbers off things. So we draw an upside down factoring thing, it looks like this, to show we're doing synthetic division. And here's what we do. We divide by the 0 of the denominator. That's one we couldn't even do all the questions as synthetic division problems in this lesson, is that not all of them were just a factor. Some of them were like x squared plus something plus something. So we just have to have an x plus 6. So I don't divide. What I do is I set this equal to 0. I subtract 6. Oh, I'm going to divide by negative 6. And what I do with this negative 6 is I write it over here. It's what I'm dividing by. Okay? Now, what I do, and it's so cool that this works, because if you compare the results, they always work. I have to take the coefficients off all the terms. First, I have to check. The largest exponent I have is a fourth, x to the fourth. I have to have every term after that. If I'm missing a term, I have to fill in with a 0 and that term. So I have an x to the fourth, good. I have x to the third, good. I have x squared, good. I have just an x to the first, which would be an x term, good. And I have a constant, good. I need all those things. If I'm missing them, I will fill in with 0, but in this case, I'm not missing them. So what I do is I pick off the coefficients. That's a positive 1. This is a positive 7. I'm just listing them here. This is a positive 5. This is a negative 8. You have to take the sign with it, okay? So that's a negative 8, and the last one will be a negative 14. If you forget the sign, this is not going to work for you. So here's what you do again with synthetic division. You have to have some place to start, so you drop your first number down. And anytime I get a number down here below this division symbol, I'm going to multiply it by this negative 6 that's out front. So I say negative 6 times this 1, and where I write the answer, negative 6, is right up there above the bracket in the next spot. Okay, so it's kind of like I did the multiplication and I put it there. Anytime I have two numbers up here above the line like I do here, I'm going to add them every single time. So I'm going to add these. 7 plus negative 6, that's the same thing as 7 minus 6, which is 1. And now that I got a number down here, I'm going to go back and I'm going to multiply it by this negative 6 out front. Negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. Again, I always write my answer to that multiplication back above the line. And then I'm going to add these two numbers that, anytime I have two numbers above that I get like this, I'll add them. 5 plus negative 6 is negative 1. Now that I get a number down here, I go back and I multiply it by this negative 6 out front. Negative 6 times this positive 1 is a positive 6. And if I add negative 8 plus 6 together, because I always add the two numbers that are above the line, I get negative 2. Since I got a new number here, I'm going to go out and multiply it by this negative 6 out front. Negative 6 times this negative 2 would be a positive 12. Negative 14 plus 12 is negative 2. Now this number tells me something. If it had been 0, it would have told me that all this went in evenly. This did not go in evenly. There is a remainder. This is my remainder. We're going to talk more about that on Friday. There's a lot of things I can do with that remainder, at least a couple of good things I can do with that remainder. So I got a list of numbers. That's not my answer. I know that I should have x's in this. So if you think about it, what did we do here? We took the biggest term was an x to the fourth, and we divided an x out of it. So my biggest term will be an x cubed. So what I need to do now is go in and take all these numbers. I've got a 1, and I'm going to start with one less exponent than I had. So it'll be an x cubed. Then this number right here will go with the next exponent down. It'll be 1x squared. Then this number right here will go with one exponent down. It would be an x to the first, which is just an x. And then this negative 2 is my constant here. This is my remainder. I could say remainder negative 2, but it's not what we typically do in algebra because we need the whole bit here. So we're going to take this negative 2 and we're going to put it over what we divided by. Well, I know we divided by a negative 6, but where did we get that? It was really this factor x plus 6. If you go check our answers, there's a video on long division on this one, and now here's a video on synthetic division, if you check your answers, they're going to match. This is a much quicker way to do it and much less painful, most people feel. So I would want to clean this up a little bit. I wouldn't want to write the ones. Lazy math guy doesn't write those, does he? So x cubed plus x squared minus x minus 2 minus 2 over x plus 6. That's the result of dividing that long polynomial by x plus 6.